Good day, everyone. I hope you hear me loud and clear. I'm going through my new audio equipment here. Um, Hopefully, you don't hear too much background. I'm just gonna. It seems to be coming loud and clear. Perfect. I want to. I'm just gonna put it down a little bit. The gain seems to be hitting Hall in the pretty high up here. First of all, if you're here, I'd like to thank you for joining this stream. I've announced it a little bit at the last minute. I wasn't quite sure what the format would have been. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do another of the CTF or whatnot. Let me just double check on the equipment and make sure that everything is stable. I apologize about that. It would suck if, yeah, the microphone would just hit on the floor while you're listening to it. So I do have a mount there, but not 100% sure it's solid. Um, I seem to have touched the knob. I apologize for that. It seems like the boom's a little bit too heavy for this clamp here. Let me just try to. I apologize for that. It's probably making a whole lot of noise in the microphone here. um, just seems like I'm losing the microphone. All right. Let me just go on a short break and I'll be right back. I'll set it up and I'll be right back. Otherwise, I won't be able to stream with this. What?
Comment ça? C'est pas un R?
Non, ouais, c'est un, je pense que c'est.
Ben, pourquoi tu tiens pas ton microphone?
Ça doit être le petit pichou, là. Je vais enlever le pichou, hein, ça va marcher. I apologize for that. Um, Perfect. So I think we're getting a little bit more solid hold. I kind of took off. There was a rubber pad. I took that off. Um, See if it'll be better. Um, I'm holding it like it's a 2x4 wood, basically, like the straight from the truss of the wall. Um, I thought it would be solid because, well, it's a truss of the wall, right? So that definitely won't go down, but the clamp wasn't solid enough, I guess. I've strengthened that. Hopefully, we'll be able to do some hacking tonight and not play with audio all night because that's not quite what I was hoping for. Um, Other than that, I hope the audio is pretty good. We're not going in the red no more. I'm almost down at the lowest gain possible. Perfect. So, for those who don't know me, let's go through the normal introduction. I My name is Tony, or I also go by the name of Psycho or Psycho Slave online. I'm the host for HackTheBox Moncton. I'd like to welcome you through this last day of the year, basically the 31st of December 2022. So this is our, I think, 15th or 16th stream. So today we're gonna be doing an easy box. Let me just pull that up here. I kind of lost my train of thought with that mic that fell, and me being a little bit behind because I wasn't looking to do that box at all. I was trying to do another box, outdated, but I'm having a whole lot of issues with it, and it's stupid issues. So I mean, I didn't want to be troubleshooting the box, so unless I find what the problem is with that box, I will not be streaming it right away. I thought it was a pretty cool one because it's Felina, and you get to exploit a Windows update server, WSUS. So that I thought that was pretty cool, but the initial access, the way you deliver the Felina payload is not very consistent. So because of that, I opted for this Linux box, the easy Linux box called Squash. The reason I think it's called Squash, it's because it's the way that NFS, or Network File System, in Linux handles its permission. Now, this particular box was released back in November 10th, 2022. It is a retired box, so that's why we're completely live right now on the YouTube channel with everything being public and whatnot. And the difficulty of this box is an easy one. So the box was designed by Polar Bearer and Carmelo. The box supports a web server and an NFS server that used to get compromised the system. Basically, the file permissions are used, so it shows an inherent flaw with the NFS protocol. Once you're into the system, you can get access to an X authority cookie, which gives you access to take over the X Windows session in a nutshell. Then this session, this Windows session actually has a password manager window open, with showing the root password as plain sight. From our previous access to the system, we can now basically switch right through the root user and get the final flag on the box. While I do like the fact that the end user uses a password manager. Very good practice. It's not a very good practice to leave it open and leave it unlocked all the time. So that's not a very good thing to do, because then people can just click on your passwords and get access to everything, right? Doesn't keep everything much secure. Now, NFS permission also can be dangerous if not set properly. I think this box is a perfect example of and proves it. Um, the box is basically, it was fun to run through. Normally we hack, like, to get web shells. We hack through um, web applications and whatnot. I thought this one was a little bit different, so I kind of love how you get the initial access. All right, well, enough with the jaw jacking and the audio problem here. Let's get to our flags. So I think the skills you need to be able to solve this box is just as long as you have some NFS knowledge, you know how the file system works, how handles permissions and everything. Also, some Linux permissions knowledge. I think that's very golden in this one. Um, just knowing how Linux handles users and groups and all the different permissions. The tools we're going to be using is just a straight up nmap. I mean, you should have your go-to nmap commands by now. If you've been on this stream for a while, you know me. I have my cut and paste commands that I usually use. And then it's a lot easier than afterwards. Like, you just have some label on them and you just paste it from a notepad essentially. We're going to be using show mount and mount to enumerate the NFS shares, and we're going to be using some Windows tools called WinInfo and XWD to get our final flag. Now, let's switch window here, and so I've already divided my browser or my terminal in four here, just so it's easier. And you can see that I've did this box just before, so basically I have a backup of everything that goes on. If anything goes bad, I might be able to still move forward. So the first thing we start is basic nmap enumeration. So I'll go over here and just paste this in here. It's gonna ask. Oh, I got my password right for the first time. So that's impressive. So it won't take too long to run through those scan here, and essentially we're gonna see a whole lot of ports, but most of these ports are essentially just RPC, just being helper for the NFS and the file system, a little bit like you see in your Windows, right? The RPC calls and everything. So so let me just push this down a little bit and show you what I mean here. So we got the port 111. It's essentially that's the RPC port, but we got all these other ports as well that are RPC. We got this one here specifically NFS, and we got a web server and an SSH server. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know, I usually like to try straight up for the web, straight up for the web server. So we're gonna launch our Firefox here, and in here we're just gonna tap a 1010 11 9 190 191 And we can see here just a basic web page. Not much of these links actually works. Even the login button has been blanked out. Um, Everything has been blanked out essentially. And if we take a look at what Wapalizer tells us, there's not a whole lot going on here. So it's running font awesome, jQuery. I mean, it's sitting behind a Cloudflare on a Ubuntu box. So it doesn't. There's not a whole lot we can do with. So next thing I would normally do is I'd get up the Ferox Buster here and kick that in. Run it with the medium list and see how that goes, right? Yeah, that works. For some reason, it's printing a whole lot of errors. I think my terminal is broken, that's why, but so we see it found those 3 directories right here, and it won't find anything. Essentially, it just goes through that list on and on and on, and there's not a whole lot. So from there, it basically tells me perhaps we've been looking at the wrong thing, right? I mean, so the next thing I will normally do, I mean, down from the web server, we got the NFS probably that we want to look at. So if we don't do the show mount here, we see that there's 2 interesting file system we have access to. Now, the ROS, and so first thing first, let's take a look at the let's mount the ROS one. I think I already had something. Yeah, I already had something mount over there, so you couldn't mount it. So if we do an NLS mount media here, we can see just basically just what seems like a desktop, like a user desktop under Linux, right? Now, there's 2 things I want to point out from this here. So these accesses here, you see how it's only the numbers, like 1001 for the user and 1001 for the group, right? And the second thing I want to point out is that X authority file here. If we look up on the internet what that file is basically it's some credentials that the XAuth server will keep in there to authenticate users. So it's like it's a cookie with credentials in it. So perhaps we can use that to log in or something like that. So the thing I would recommend with this file is once we get access, because right now we don't have access to it, right? So I'll go on, but once we get access to it, we should back that file up because it might come handy later on. I'm just saying. So what happens in Linux? So let's go a little bit on how file system, on how folders and how permissions works on Linux, right? So on, on Linux, the group and users are mapped. So it's like DNS on the internet. So really what the kernel understand is really only those group numbers, right? Group and user IDs. So group IDs and user IDs, and it actually gets those file, like those numbers. Like if you look at user 1000, that's my local user, right? And all these other users, right? There's the root user and all these other users, basically other numbers. So what I want to say is that basically because it's not showing a group, like group 0 is basically root, so it knows that. So whether it's root under my box or other people's box, that doesn't matter. However, this user doesn't exist. So what we can do is we could add this user, and obviously only the root is able to add users. So if we had this user over here, we can see that it not only added the user is group 101, 1001, but also added the group as 1001, right? So now we have a user. If we ls that share again, we can see that it actually shows our new user, that new Psycho user we just created. So if we use to Psycho, right, and we know the password, we just said that, and we just go back to we want to go to Mount Media, because we don't have access to this whatever folder we're in right now. And now we actually have access. We do have access now to this X-Authority file. So here's what we can do. We can just copy it out of there. So let's copy the X-Authority to temp X-Authority, right? And I did that earlier. Have I been doing too much Windows lately? Every time I try to do CP, I will type copy, and every time I want to do an LS, I'll do a DR. So perhaps I've been doing too much Windows box. Alright, so I've copied this file over here. Now, and I've checked everything else. There's no flag in here. There's nothing in here. So it's not the user we need to get into. So if we get out of the user and we just give ourselves ownership of this authority file, right? And let's move it to here. Alright, so now we have that file over here. I did that dir again. And once we do have that authority file, I mean, there's not a whole lot to see on that SharePoint. So let's take a look at the other SharePoint, what's going over there. And if we remember correctly, if we scroll up, we might not see it because I cleared it, but I think it was var www html. Now if we do this again, look how weird is that output. I mean, I've never seen anything like that, right? So perhaps that means we don't have access to it. So the way we can confirm this is we can do lsld on the mount and then on the media. And essentially it tells us that this folder, is owned by the same user ID on that box that www data on my box, on my system, but the user ID is different. Now, we're not going to create another user. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do sudo, we're going to use usermod -u, and we're going to give it that user ID. So, and we're going to say psycode. So basically that's the user, our user, right? So once we do that, and we do the same ls, we can see that the user psycode now basically just took ownership of that folder. So if we go in here, we can't go in here, right? But guess who can? This guy right here. So we go back with Psycho, go to the mount media folder, and take a look at that. So we seem to be having access to this web server here that we just basically were accessing. Like if we take a look at the index file, like it looks to be what we were looking at earlier, like that web page, right? Where's that title here? Yeah, somewhere. It's right here. Build better. So same website, right? This one. Build better. So I wonder if we could just do this here. Touch index dot or psycho.html. Works. Now let's go here and let's try to visit our psycho.html. Oh, perfect. All right. Now there was something else that was interesting when I was looking down here, and if we do an lsla, we can see that there's an htaccess file. If we look at the htaccess file, it basically confirms that we have PHP over there. Even though that website doesn't use PHP, it seems like we do have access to PHP. So I wonder if we can get some kind of web shell, right? That'd be cool. Let's give it a try. So basically we're just gonna output this web shell that if we give it a C, we can run anything, right? So go in here, type that, and we're just gonna change this here for PHP because it doesn't like static HTML for PHP. And if we do who am I, well, once in a while the file erases, so just redo that file and we're Alex. Okay, so perhaps we can take a look at Alex home folder, and sure enough we have our user flag here. So I mean there's few ways we can have access to that flag, but I mean why overcomplicate things, right? We can just do cat alex user.txt, and there we go. So we have access to our flag user. Now we need access to the root. So this is where it gets a little bit more complex, but let's take a 5-minute break. Just gonna rest my voice, take a little sip of something, and then I'll show you guys how we can root this box here. All right, see you in a bit. All right, thanks, guys. I apologize for the wait there. Like I was saying in the chat, I got my voice a little bit rough because I was just got out of a cold. It's not too bad, but um, my voice was getting a little bit dry there. Um, so the next little bit is basically where I learned the most about this box. Some of these commands I wasn't familiar with it. While I'm very familiar with most of the commands that we used previously, or that I use pretty much, my daily driver computer is basically a Linux system. It has been for like 15 years, so very, very used to the Linux platform now. These commands are not commands that I'm very used to. So it's just what I was wanted to say. So I've learned a little bit, and I mean every now and then you get to learn a little bit on these box, and I think that's why I kind of want to do these streams. Not only I want to share the knowledge, but I also want to learn from it as well, from the experience. And every time I get to learn something, it's always a plus. And hopefully then I'm able to share it better with you guys. Now, the next part, basically, we can use the same method that we've gotten the user flag. Or let me. I thought I switched to the perfect, better, right? Now you guys see what we're talking about. So the next thing we need to do here is basically we need to redo this file, but also we need to get reverse shell access to this box. So now the normal payload here, we would normally have some %, and I've replaced those for percentage 26, essentially the ASCII code here. This one right here and this one right here. My IP address is actually a 7 though. So what I want to do is I want to set up a listener. I'm just gonna get this here to 4 equal squares. Just gonna echo back that file, and we're gonna visit that website. That should call back to our listener, and we got access to Alex. So essentially, that's what I was saying earlier. We could have gotten the flag this way as well, right? We can see that there's no .ssh folder. There's a .config, but I don't think there's a whole lot in here. So basically, from here, I bashed my head quite a bit because I was trying to, that X authentication file. Well, I thought it might have give you only access to the Alex user, but turns out we have 2 users on this box, right? We have the Ross user, which we had access earlier from the mount point, and we have this Alex user. Now, and that's where I've learned a little bit. So let's transfer this. We're gonna need to start up a Python web server. All right. I did the same thing earlier. I'm not sure why I don't type Python 3. All right, Python web server, and just basically need to pull that file here from Alex. So we're going to go back to our home folder. Maybe we can, yeah. Well, I think I'm the only one on this box right now, so though you get this HTTP 10.10.14.7 port 8000, and the file we want is xauth authority. Alright, so that we got it. We're just gonna kill that web server. And now we're gonna go into enumerate basically the Windows system here. So it tells us that the display is :0, and I don't know if you've ever used it's running under user ROS. So essentially that user ROS is where we want to go right now. And if you ever use VNC under Linux, usually you often see those : terminal things. Basically, it starts a virtual desktop which you can access because X Windows is not like in Windows. It's actually a server, so you can serve application from it. And this is basically just a Windows session, essentially. It can be open under any user or any user that has access to the X Windows. For this instance, it's actually ROS, and it just tells us the command and how long it's been. Because I reset that box about an hour ago, so that's probably what it is. The idle time. All right, and so perfect. So this xdpy info with display, that's a command I didn't know about, and essentially it tells you if you're able to attach to this session, and we're not able to. And we can try to do the same thing on the root. And this time it tells us the same thing. We're not able to and the next thing we're going to try to do is basically we're going to try to do that, but with that file we just transferred, that X authority, right? So if we set it up as a variable, sorry, then we're able to set where the location of that file, and basically it uses that cookie for authentication. So if we hit enter, it's going to show us a whole lot of stuff here. Now, if we scroll at the very top, is basically what we want over here. And it just tells us that we have like a session, but it does not tell us a whole lot. Like it tells us size of the session, like the DPI, and depth and color map and everything, right? It's not a very good color scheme, and all those are actually mapping or like different scheme that Windows will work under, right? Different color palette and everything. Now, there's another command we can do, and this one might give us a little bit more information. So essentially, I think it's the same command that we just did, but with the root tree as we did before. And this one, we can see we actually have Windows open. So we have a GNOME session running, and we have a key pass. I wonder what that's all about. So another tool that I've learned about, and this one is particularly interesting because it's able to take a screenshot from the desktop running. So basically we give it the ticket or the cookie. XWD is the name of the command, and since this what worked in Right, sorry. This is what worked in previous command. We need to provide the same thing. So we want root and we want a screenshot. So we're going to give it screen. We want it silent and we want to display the :0. Now we're going to save that to Psycho because in the temp folder because we don't want anyone to get access to that. Now, once we have access or once we've taken that screenshot, we need to transfer that screenshot over to us. So what we can do is we're just going to do a little trick here. I like this trick. So it's psycho.xwd and we're just going to pipe that to NC 1010 14.7. And we're going to use port 2345. And over here, we're just going to netcat VPN 2345. And we're going to pipe this one to screenshot.xwd. So once we do that, we get a connection. Just going to wait a little bit for the transfer to occur. Now we have enough time. I shouldn't have killed it this way. I'm just going to redo the... basically redo this reverse shell here. So that's why I keep all those windows open because the wrong thing here and you basically have to start all over again. So I'm going to create that web shell. We're going to do the connection, do the thing. We've got that shell again. Perfect. And now we have the screenshot over here. We can do that thing to MD5 sum just to confirm that we have the same thing on both ends, right? It's not very secure, but we're not doing that to be secure. Alright, sorry. We're not doing that to be secure. We're doing that to basically just make sure that we have the exact same file. And the ashes seems to match, so we got the same file over here. Now, another thing we can do here is we can do convert screenshot to screenshot.png. Now, if we do file to the screenshot.png, we can see it's now just a standard image. And let me open that file for you right here. DB machines squash. If I open that screenshot, look what we have over here. We have that KeyPass session that was open. And it seems to be displaying the root password. Oh, well. Let's give it a try if it's the right password. Alright, we're already in Alex. So SU root CAH $MEA 7 9 A. And if we do PWD, we don't get anything. Who am I? Let's do this again. Let's do this again. All right. Oh, I think I lost access to the VPN. All right. All right, let's try that again. Yeah, that's gonna host up that session here. All right, so let's use another session here. Can we ls the MNT media? Oh, we got access to it. All right. Perfect. Refresh. We got our shell. We should be able to su to root. Password. Where is it? It's right here. C8. And if we do PWD, we can see that we're root. Who am I? We are root. And look what we have over here. Our nice root flag. We seem to have an SSH folder. Okay, we don't have... So we do have our root flag, and that's it for this box, basically. A combination of, well, mostly NFS access issues that gave us a little bit too much, and from that we were able to leverage and get root. Hope you guys liked this box. I thought it was pretty cool because the way it showcased the permissions with NFS, and how, because these groups and password file doesn't reside or not move over from one computer to another in an NFS environment. The NFS or the remote server is not aware of the users which the permissions were made. So it's very important when you share NFS or folder structure that you're careful with that. In this case, we were allowed to basically mount those folders without any passwords, essentially. So even though there were file permissions in place, we were still be able to we would still manage to get around that and successfully get access to root. All right, well, that being said, I hope that you guys have a happy new year. I'm not sure where you all from. Here it's just 9 o'clock basically, so it's almost 3 hours away from the new year still, and might be taking a couple of drinks from here and celebrate a little bit. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream, and we'll see you next year for even more content. All right. Well, you guys take care, and Happy New Year. Bye-bye.